The truth is, fellow Americans, when the power goes out, you've got less time than you think. Most people shrug off a blackout like it's a minor inconvenience, but studies show modern society is only 72 hours away from collapse without electricity. That's 3 days before grocery shelves are stripped bare, gas stations shut down, and water systems fail. We saw it in Texas in 2021, millions left freezing in their own homes, boiling snow for water, and over 240 people lost their lives because they thought someone else would handle it. And that wasn't some third world collapse, that was America, right here, right now. Don't wait for FEMA, don't wait for the government, and don't assume the grid will be back in a few hours. The U.S. electrical infrastructure is ranked 13th in reliability worldwide, behind countries most Americans can't even point to on a map. Cyber attacks, aging transformers, and extreme weather events are hitting harder every year. In 2023 alone, we had over 180 major power outages, and the average downtime doubled compared to a decade ago. That's not a warning, that's a pattern. So listen carefully. This isn't about fear, it's about survival. Because while your neighbors are arguing over dead phone batteries and waiting for help, you're going to be executing rules that keep your family alive, safe, and strong. America, if you want to stay on your feet when the lights go out, here's what you do. 12. Protect your perishables before they turn against you. When the lights die, your refrigerator and freezer become silent countdown timers to disaster, and most people have no idea just how fast it happens. According to the USDA, perishable foods left at 40 FF or higher for just 2 hours can begin growing bacteria like Salmonella, Listeria, and E. coli. Think about that. Within half the length of a bad movie, the food in your fridge can transform from tonight's dinner into tomorrow's trip to the emergency room. The harsh truth? More people end up in hospitals during blackouts because of food poisoning than actual starvation. And here's what almost nobody considers. You can weaponize the cold itself against the clock. Before an outage even happens, freeze bottles of water in every empty space of your freezer. Why? Because frozen water acts like a thermal battery, keeping everything else colder, longer. A full freezer stays at safe temperatures twice as long as a half-full one. That's the science of thermal mass. But here's the advanced move. Line your fridge and freezer with cheap aluminum bubble insulation. Yes, the same stuff used in shipping boxes. It buys you extra hours of cold retention when the power dies. And while your neighbors are blindly opening their fridges every 15 minutes to check, you'll know better. Every door opening bleeds out cold air like a punctured lung, reducing safe storage life by hours. Your game plan must be ruthless triage. Cook or eat perishables first, preserve with salt, smoke, or dehydration, and then lock down what remains. Every decision here is a race against bacterial multiplication, which can double every 20 minutes in warm temperatures. Survivors know that in a blackout, your fridge isn't your friend, it's a biological hazard waiting to explode. 11. Guard your air quality like your life depends on it. In every prolonged blackout, one silent killer consistently tops the charts: carbon monoxide poisoning. When Hurricane Sandy slammed into New York in 2012, at least 263 people were hospitalized not because of flooding, but because they ran generators, grills, or heaters indoors. Carbon monoxide is a colorless, odorless gas that bonds to your red blood cells 200 times more effectively than oxygen, suffocating you while you feel like you're just falling asleep. Scary part, by the time you feel dizzy or nauseous, it's often too late. That's why this survival rule is non-negotiable. Protect your air quality as if it were your last breath, because in a blackout, it very well could be. Here's what most people never think about. Even candles contribute to indoor pollutants, raising carbon dioxide and reducing oxygen levels in tightly sealed rooms. During the 2021 Texas freeze, families sealed their homes to conserve heat but accidentally trapped in fumes from improvised heating methods, creating death chambers. Your countermeasure starts with equipment: battery-powered carbon monoxide detectors with digital readouts, not just alarms. Keep one in every room you're actively using during a blackout. Ventilation isn't optional, it's survival. Crack windows even in freezing weather if you're burning anything. But here's the advanced tip: create a clean air sanctuary using a HEPA filter unit plugged into a portable power bank. Indoor air pollution skyrockets during outages, especially in urban areas where backup generators spew diesel exhaust into neighborhoods. A portable purifier can literally extend your lifespan. Add houseplants like snake plants or spider plants to enhance air scrubbing. They've been proven in NASA studies to absorb toxins and produce oxygen. Remember, water and food run out slowly, but air quality can kill you in under 10 minutes if you screw this up. Don't make the same mistake hundreds did in past blackouts. 10. Secure your fuel supply before it becomes gold. Here's a brutal reality. In any prolonged power outage, fuel becomes more valuable than food. Why? Because fuel is energy, and energy is survival. No electricity means your gasoline pumps are dead within hours, leaving cars stranded and generators silenced. the Department of Energy estimates that 90% of gas stations cannot pump fuel without power. That means once the grid drops, every gallon in your possession becomes irreplaceable currency. But most people don't understand just how fragile their supply chain is. During the Colonial Pipeline cyber attack in 2021, entire states went dry in under 48 hours because panicked drivers drained reserves. Don't think it can't happen again. Gasoline stored properly with stabilizers can last up to 12 months, but untreated it degrades in as little as 3 months. Propane, that's your king of fuels, indefinite shelf life, versatile for heating, cooking, and even refrigeration with the right equipment. But here's the advanced prep. Diversify your fuel portfolio. Don't just store gasoline, add propane tanks, kerosene, and even charcoal briquettes. Each fuel type has unique advantages, and redundancy means resilience. And don't forget about your vehicle. A car isn't just transportation, it's a rolling power bank. With the right inverter, your vehicle battery can power lights, charge phones, even run medical equipment. Keep tanks topped off to at least half at all times, because E doesn't mean empty in a blackout, it means emergency. But the golden rule of fuel? Security. Because when supplies vanish, neighbors become competitors. Store in locked, ventilated areas away from sightlines. Survivors know that when the lights go out, the person with fuel isn't just surviving, they're commanding the new economy. 9. Protect your data before it vanishes forever. In the digital age, survival isn't just about water and food, it's about data. Think about it. Your phone is your map, your bank, your library, your emergency manual. But when power dies, so does your access. During Puerto Rico's blackout after Hurricane Maria in 2017, millions found themselves cut off from banking, medical records, and communication. And here's the kicker. Most people keep zero physical backups of critical information. Your survival depends on anticipating this failure. Start with paper. Print out everything. Important contacts, insurance policies, medical information, maps, even step-by-step guides for water purification or first aid. Why? Because dead batteries make your cloud storage about as useful as a blank notebook. But let's get advanced. Secure digital backups on encrypted USB drives or ruggedized external hard drives with massive offline libraries of survival manuals, local maps, and reference guides. Pair this with a solar-powered laptop charger, and suddenly you've got an off-grid knowledge vault that no blackout can erase. Don't forget financial resilience. In extended outages, ATMs and credit card machines become useless. Cash becomes king. Keep small bills hidden securely in your home, 5s, 10s, and 20s. Large bills make you a target. Small bills make you functional in an economy that has temporarily reverted to 19th century barter. Add in silver coins for long-haul crises, where trust in paper money collapses. And here's what nobody ever mentions: mental data. Memorize critical phone numbers and routes. In one study by Pew, 44% of people admitted they couldn't recall even their parents' numbers without their phone. If you can't function without a digital crutch, you're already a casualty. Protect your data like it's water, because in the modern world it is. 8. Reinforce sanitation before disease becomes the real enemy. When the power goes out, most people worry about food and heat, but history proves over and over again, sanitation failures kill more people than hunger or cold combined. After the 2010 Haiti earthquake, cholera spread like wildfire, infecting hundreds of thousands, not because of lack of food, but because waste disposal collapsed. In a blackout, your flushing toilet is on borrowed time, municipal water pressure dies, sewage pumps stop, and suddenly you're one clogged pipe away from an outbreak. Your first defense is storage. Heavy-duty contractor bags, buckets with tight lids, and absorbents like sawdust or kitty litter transform waste into manageable containment. But here's where survivors separate from victims: sanitation discipline. Every family member must follow strict waste protocols. No cutting corners. Human waste must be double-bagged and stored far from living areas. Gray water from dishwashing? That's a mosquito breeding ground, unless treated with bleach before disposal. Hand hygiene becomes your frontline defense. Stockpiles of soap, sanitizer, and disposable gloves prevent minor cuts from becoming lethal infections. And here's the advanced layer: chemical sanitation. Calcium hypochlorite, pool shock when diluted correctly, creates gallons of disinfectant that can sterilize surfaces, water, and waste areas. Unlike liquid bleach, which loses potency after 6 months, calcium hypochlorite lasts for years if stored properly. Don't overlook pests. Rodents and insects thrive during outages, spreading disease as trash piles up. Rat-proof your storage, seal cracks, and deploy traps aggressively. Survivors understand that sanitation isn't extra, it's the difference between order and epidemic. Fail at this rule, and you won't die from lack of power. You'll die from something as stupid and preventable as diarrhea. 7. Harden your home before desperation knocks. When the grid collapses, your house stops being a home and becomes a fortress. Because here's the cold truth: desperation turns ordinary neighbors into opportunistic threats. After Hurricane Katrina, looting began within hours, not days. And during the 2021 Texas blackout, reports of burglaries spiked as darkness provided cover.
Your survival rule here is simple. Harden your home before the wolves circle. Start with entry points. Reinforce doors with security bars and 3-inch screws and strike plates. Cheap hardware upgrades turn your door from a speed bump into a wall. Windows, security film and plywood panels can mean the difference between a burglar walking in and walking away. But physical defense is only half the battle. Perception is power. You don't want to look like the richest house on the block. Keep lighting dim, noise minimal, and activity low profile. A quiet dark house looks like everyone else. A roaring generator and bright windows scream supplies inside. Here's the advanced strategy. Layered defense. Think concentric circles. Outer perimeter, motion sensor, solar lights, and natural barriers like thorny bushes. Inner perimeter, locked doors, noise traps like bottles on strings, and reinforced rooms as last stands. But here's what few ever consider. Psychological defense. Even the appearance of preparedness, multiple voices on walkie-talkies, simulated dog barks from recordings or dummy cameras can dissuade attackers who prefer easier prey. Survivors also know community is security. Get to know your neighbors before crisis strikes. A network of watchful eyes is more effective than any single weapon. When civilization frays, your home becomes your castle. Harden it now because in a blackout, safety isn't about hope, it's about deterrence. 6. Master medical readiness before a small injury becomes a death sentence. Here's something nobody wants to face. In a blackout, the healthcare system is hanging by a thread. Hospitals run on backup generators designed for 24/72 hours. After that, ventilators, dialysis machines, oxygen concentrators, all the lifelines people depend on, start shutting down. During Hurricane Maria, dozens of patients in Puerto Rico died not from injuries, but because the power to keep machines running vanished. That's why your home needs to transform into a mini urgent care clinic the second the lights go out. Start with prescriptions, because without them, your survival clock is already ticking. If you rely on insulin, blood pressure meds, or heart medication, you need redundancy. Store backups in insulated coolers with frozen gel packs and rotate them regularly to keep potency high. But here's the advanced move. Learn about alternatives. For example, some blood pressure medications can be temporarily substituted by lifestyle interventions like potassium-rich foods, while diabetics can stretch insulin use by adjusting carbohydrate intake. These aren't long-term fixes, but they can buy critical days. Your first aid kit, forget the toy-sized versions sold at pharmacies. You need a trauma-grade kit with tourniquets, clotting agents, splints, antiseptics, and broad-spectrum antibiotics if you can legally acquire them. Burns, cuts, and infections become lethal without intervention. During the 2003 Northeast blackout, ER visits skyrocketed from people tripping in the dark, mishandling candles, or burning themselves on improvised stoves. Don't be a statistic. Sanitation links directly to medical survival. Dirty hands or untreated water will overwhelm your system with bacterial load faster than starvation ever will. Survivors know this rule. Your health isn't negotiable. Harden your medical fortress before the grid fails, because once the pharmacies are empty and ambulances silent, you are your only doctor. 5. Control fire before it controls you. When the lights go out, people instinctively reach for candles. It feels old-fashioned, comforting, even romantic. But here's the dark reality. During the 2003 Northeast blackout, candle fires caused over 150 house fires in just 2 days across New York and New Jersey. Fire becomes the silent reaper in a blackout, destroying homes not with malice, but with carelessness. Open flames, combined with fatigue, stress, and clutter, are a deadly cocktail. Survivors know this. Your number one enemy in darkness is fire mismanagement. So your first step is strict fire discipline. Candles should be placed in glass jars or metal containers on heat-proof surfaces, never directly on tables or next to curtains, and never leave them burning while you sleep. That's rule-breaking that ends in headlines. But here's the pro move. Ditch candles altogether for LED lanterns and headlamps. They last longer, burn cooler, and don't turn your home into kindling. For cooking, propane stoves, rocket stoves, or solar ovens are your allies, but only outdoors or in heavily ventilated spaces. Carbon monoxide and open flames in enclosed rooms create death traps. Fire extinguishers? You don't just need one, you need several. Kitchen, main living area, and near any improvised heating setup. And not the tiny aerosol ones. They're useless after 3 seconds of spray. Get full-size ABC-rated extinguishers, the kind that smother grease, electrical, and paper fires. Don't forget smoke detectors with backup batteries. During blackouts, people disable them because of false alarms, and then tragedy strikes. Advanced tip, keep a bucket of sand or baking soda near your cooking setup. Unlike water, these smother grease and chemical fires instantly. Fire is survival's double-edged sword. It can save you from freezing, but if you mishandle it, it'll burn down everything you work to protect. 4. Reinforce mental resilience before panic eats you alive. When the lights go out for more than a day, you're not just battling the dark, you're battling your own mind. Studies from disaster psychology show that after 48 hours without power, anxiety and depression rates spike, especially among families with children. Because humans are hardwired to rely on rhythm, daylight, routines, electricity. When that rhythm dies, so does your sense of control. Panic isn't just uncomfortable, it's lethal. People make irrational choices, like drinking unsafe water, or wandering outside at night, because fear hijacks logic. That's why mental resilience is as critical as food or water. Here's how you build it. First, establish structure. In a blackout, every day should follow a schedule. Wake, gather resources, check communications, eat at consistent times, and conduct family meetings where everyone knows the plan. This creates predictability in chaos, which calms the brain's survival centers. Second, maintain morale with deliberate distractions. Pack decks of cards, board games, books, or even musical instruments. These aren't luxuries, they're psychological medicine. In post-Katrina shelters, families who played games and maintained routines showed dramatically lower stress responses than those who sat in silence. Advanced strategy: control your light exposure. Darkness messes with melatonin and cortisol, throwing your sleep cycle into chaos. Use LED lanterns in the evening to mimic normal patterns and reduce insomnia. Sleep deprivation weakens immune systems and wrecks decision-making, which cascades into accidents and poor survival choices. Don't overlook children. They'll mirror your emotional state. If you panic, they panic. If you project calm authority, they relax, even if conditions are dire. Survivors know this. Mental collapse kills faster than starvation. Harden your mind before you harden your pantry. 3. Manage water waste before your supply becomes worthless. You already know water is survival. But here's the twist most people miss. Managing wastewater is just as important as collecting fresh supplies. In the Texas freeze of 2021, thousands filled bathtubs and buckets, but by day 3, they had contaminated half their reserves by using dirty hands, cups, or mixing drinking water with wash water. That's why this rule isn't about stockpiling, it's about protecting what you have from yourself. The golden law: never cross-contaminate. Designate containers for drinking, separate ones for washing, and never let utensils double task. Mark them with tape if you have to. Treat every gallon like liquid gold. And here's the advanced play. Create a wastewater system that recycles. Gray water from washing hands or dishes can flush toilets or water plants. Strain food particles with a cloth. Add a splash of bleach, and suddenly it's functional for non-drinking uses. This extends your clean supply exponentially. Another overlooked source? Condensation. Place clean plastic sheets over grass or dirt overnight, and morning dew collects in droplets you can funnel into bottles. It's slow, but in survival, every ounce counts. And don't forget hot water heaters. They hold 30 to 50 gallons, but only if you shut off the intake valve to prevent contamination from the mains. Survivors go further by using calcium hypochlorite pool shock to purify massive amounts of water on demand. 1 pound can disinfect over 10,000 gallons if mixed correctly. Compare that to fragile water tablets that expire quickly. And here's your warning. Once dehydration symptoms set in, dark urine, dizziness, headaches, you're already behind the survival curve. Guard your water from waste as fiercely as you guard it from thirst. 2. Establish mobility before you're trapped in place. Here's the reality most people never calculate. A blackout doesn't just kill your lights, it paralyzes your ability to move. Gas stations stop pumping, traffic lights die, and elevators stall. During the 2003 Northeast blackout, hundreds of commuters were trapped in subway cars and elevators, some for over 6 hours, while hospitals struggled to evacuate patients down stairwells without functioning lifts. That's why mobility isn't optional, it's survival. First, your personal gear. A bug-out bag for every family member must be packed and ready to deploy in under 5 minutes. This isn't a camping backpack, it's a mobile survival system with water filters, calorie-dense food, first aid, a flashlight, multi-tool, protective clothing, cash, and copies of critical documents. Keep it light enough to actually carry, but comprehensive enough to keep you alive for 72 hours. But here's where advanced survivors stand apart: transportation redundancy. Don't just rely on your car. Roads clog fast, and fuel disappears even faster. Keep a bike, collapsible cart, or even sturdy hiking boots as secondary options. In New York's blackout, bicycles became the fastest way to navigate the gridlock. Next, plan multiple escape routes. A primary highway plan, a secondary backroad plan, and a no-vehicle walking path that avoids choke points like bridges or tunnels that could become traps. Pre-walk or drive these routes when times are calm, so muscle memory takes over in chaos. And here's what few think about. Caches, pre-positioned supply stashes, sealed containers with water, food bars, and spare clothing, buried or hidden along your evacuation routes. That way, if your primary pack is lost or stolen, you aren't starting from zero. Survivors never gamble on rescue. They engineer their own mobility before the blackout locks them in place. 1. Lockdown lighting before darkness breeds predators. The moment power dies, your environment transforms. The darkness isn't just inconvenient, it's a predator's ally. Studies show crime rates spike during blackouts by as much as 20%, with burglaries, assaults, and opportunistic theft leading the surge. Why? Because predators thrive in shadows while the unprepared fumble for a flashlight. That's why your very first move, the 3-minute light protocol, isn't negotiable. You must seize control of light before panic and predators seize control of you. Flashlights and LED lanterns aren't just for visibility, they're psychological weapons. They anchor your family's morale and project authority in chaos. Survivors know to stage lights strategically throughout their homes. Headlamps by the bed, lanterns in the living room, glow sticks in bathrooms. But here's the advanced move. Manage visibility to the outside world. A brightly glowing house in a blackout is a neon target advertising, "We have supplies." That's why blackout curtains or even duct tape trash bags over windows are critical. They conceal your light while maintaining your security perimeter. And don't underestimate redundancy. Solar-powered garden lights can charge all day and be brought inside at night for endless illumination cycles. Cheap, renewable, and overlooked by almost everyone. Add chemical glow sticks to your kit. They're waterproof, unbreakable, and last 12+ hours. Here's a detail even pros forget. Preserve your night vision. Use red light filters on flashlights for interior movement. Your eyes stay adjusted to the dark, giving you an edge if you need to step outside. Remember this, in total blackout, chaos favors the desperate, but light-controlled, deliberate, strategic light tilts the balance back toward you. When the world goes dark, survivors don't stumble, they shine.